Hello guys, today it's me, Donato, and I'm back from the tutorials, and today we're gonna make a jump scare and a stamina simulator. Let's make a can look variable, or can look if we can look back, can run if we can run, and pause if we need a pause menu, and we're gonna make pause too. And we're gonna add the space key if player's variable is can look equal to true. Now if the player collides with the baldy, the variable player can run will be set to false. False. Also let's can pause too. Can look and can pause both set to false. Set to false. And especially with baldy will be set to 0. Also the player's speed will also be set to 0 too during the jump scare. And now let's make a game over scene. Game over scene. Which, like the windscreen before, you can definitely also do just random stuff like add random texture sprites or make the screen be black or white. You can also play any random sounds. Any random sounds. Or just definitely make variable angry for the Bisodas. And we can play a sound. We can play a sound if you want to or not. Even if the body's slapping. Now let's test our loose screen and let's test our losing screen and okay. Just Windows 7 error because I think that one was a bit weird. That slap sound was a bit weird. Also, let's not forget to make wait 2 or 1 seconds or less than 1 second. That's not 0 to make the jump scare actually work. And let's make a HUD system, a UI system, or you could just definitely make the hide layer UI or make another boss menu variable. Let's just make a HUD, a HUD. Let's just make a HUD group. We could hide the group or just delete it. Well, just hiding it will be better. You see, it will fit for the jump scare. Let's test our jump scare now. Okay, we can do. Now, all we need to do is make items. For example, do a Visoda and Zesty bar. For example, you could do any item if you want. Here's the B soda example. The example of the B soda. Either the items could be smaller than the notebooks or just be this big. Let's just add some B sodas for example. Shh. Stop crying already, you stupid dog. Sorry about my dog. I'm just trying to be quiet here. I'm just doing it to at 4 a.m. But let's also add the B sodas too. And zesty bars. And apples. Two, two or two. Let's just add them to the object group. Better. The apples here could be smaller or bigger though, as well. Mm, yes. Parece que quiere cagar. Ok, verdad. Verdad, Pablo. Sí, sí parece. Gipsy tiene. Okay, okay, sorry about editing the book thing. Sorry. You should not do like this. You should just definitely make a new sprite. You should just definitely change or replace the sprite rather than just editing the previous one though. For now, it's easy if you can do one item slot. It's easy. But to make to one item slot, just definitely watch. For example, take a look at question mark. Here we see that or one item slot doesn't need to be decided and doesn't have any animations. But the item HUD in the one item slot, when you get it, it's just definitely the only with item and without item. Which also you could do other items too, like in the not the SpaceX, just add other animations of items or other variables. Here, just look closer. Just look very close. Here, we can see here, we can see here, and we could test out our one item slot.
Oh, hi! Welcome to my trivia play!
Yes, yes. See, this is how one item slot can work for you. Just like in Stupid Guys Basics by Rus 57. But about the item slot, but I don't know how to do three item slots, which can work bad, but I know how to do two item slots. Yeah, you can do the two item slots like welcome to like you can do the item slot. It's like welcome to McDowell's, which is a custom item inventory with custom animations, and here's where you place your custom items, your item HUDs. Which you just have to do. You make an item HUD, which you have, which item you have, depending which item you have, and the animations too of which item you have, or just duplicating it for the second one. Here's an example of an example of the first way that where an item slot works. Uh, how the how the first kind of fixing problems. Or it could be like Klaus Set's Christmas Carol, where about the item slot and the Z there, you could just have higher value in the same way than the other white refill from behind. Where you can definitely just do these to, to depend the item the slot you're selecting. And you could just have still two items over there, marking the item you get. Here's how the two item slots can work. This for the soda item, but soda item. This is how you can collect items though in the two item slots. Also, this is for the B soda, how the B soda functions, and this is how the 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 Susty bar can function. Also, let's make a preview of how the apple can function. On how the apple can function. We're gonna do a two item slot. We can definitely just do our custom two item slots. Also, we should about the two item slot to repeat its process to still use its sprite. We could just definitely save it as a big save it as a pisco. It's a pisco to repeat its process. Since we already know how the soda can function, how 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 we can function to be soda to use be soda items and also to the zesty bar function items, we could also do how it could it could be how to function how mm, we could also do how the boots can function as well. I know I don't however I know I know I don't add tools to my poly fan games that I speedrun to get perfect speedrun and not lose time, but I'll add one in some fan game that I don't have to speedrun sooner. Here's our detailed item slots. Now let's add UI of items. UI of items. First, let's start off with the apple. With the apple. Now we're gonna resize it. We are gonna resize it to the same size of the item sprites. Now we got our item UI. We could just copy it for the second item slot. Second item slot we could just copy here. The trigger ones we could just set the items, the variable, and we could just add the variables of item one and item two. to collect for the item slots. Item 1 and item 2 will be set to 0, however. And also the animations of the item slots, if the items into item slots, will be set to new sprites or nothings. That would easily mark you didn't get any item yet. Any item yet. Any item yet. Now, to make the apple thing work, let's make an apple variable for the player. Apple variable for the player. Collision with apple. The player item 1 equals to 0 and the variable apple equals to false. The player to item 1 will be set to 1. Apple will be deleted. Animating of item UI will be set to news will be set to Apple, and the animation set to 1. Set to 1. Now let's make a variable of angry baldy where the variable angry of baldy is false, and the variable speed of baldy will be set to 0. However, if the apple with baldy, when we right click, we can use the item. Only the baldy can use it. And if the player, the variable apple is false, the variable angry if apple is true. The variable angry if the variable the angry if the baldy will be set to 0. Angry if the baldy will be set to false. We also definitely make like how we can make an how we can make the player the apple player will be set to false, but then after waiting 9 seconds, the angry if baldy will be set to true. We will do this better. If the item UI apple item if the item UI equals to apple, then So add 1 equal to 1. We'll just copy the other process with the second item UI. Remember to set it to nothing when the ball collides with it. Item 2. We could just add a trigger once to not make it buggy. Now, with the key pressed, 1, now 1, the animation of where the 2 item slot can be set to item 1, or item 2, item 2, when the num2 key is pressed. Now, let's test our apples. Let's not forget pressing the left mouse button too. Now let's add another apple. Let's try making an example of adding another apple. No, adding another apple. Now, no. I mean the second item UI. Also, just forget about the apples not rotating. Just forget. Just forget that. What the hell? I think to make it better, yeah, let's add a trigger once. Trigger once. So it could definitely work perfectly. Let's just definitely if it can work perfectly with what's in the jumpscare combination. No, it can't. Damn it. It can't. It can't. Seriously, it can't. Let's make sure that if the Apple player true. The Apple variable player will be set to false. It's time to try testing the Apple items rather than be soda items and be soda items. What the hell? What the hell? Okay, okay, never mind. Okay, so I'm gonna waste time. So okay, you can try do and I could try helping you do the apple tutorial more even better later. Now let's do a stamina bar. Let's do a stamina bar to begin with. Either you could stretch it or make it skinny. That's skinny horizontal in the physical animation. Yeah, since you know how to do a stamina by just definitely adding an arrow and making and when pressing Alt Shift changing the speed the player speed like for example using this arrow for stamina and setting the speed elevated to see distance to a higher value than the stamina bar and adding it between the positions. Oh, raving red. Blah blah blah. Here you could also do know how to do stamina by the L shift conditions. By the L shift conditions. Let me show you. Let me show you. Here, here, you could do any value of stamina. Here, here. Now let's test our stamina. Yes, and also that we can test how notebooks can work with the stamina as well. Don't forget to also add the item slot and stamina bars to the HUD if you want to make it disappear. Or just not hide to HUD when you don't want to make it disappear and keep it like BALDI'S. If we want to make an old boss fight, then we just have to copy the BALDI and and definitely make a boss fight about. Then just remove the time to move and boss start will be set to true after getting the exit. The speed of the boss. Now it's time to do a projectile example. Now I got this projectile here, right here. Now you gotta make a projectile throw with a little bit bigger hitbox so it doesn't miss a hit when you're going very fast in an old boss fight. When you try to make the projectile hit the null. You just add the apples and the projectiles to the rotation thing. In the null boss, after placing your projectiles like this with the 1350 to not be rotated the wrong way, you just either baldy boss fight like null boss fight, which is definitely adjust to a lower Z position and for the boss fight, when we want to reach it, we'll just delete the exit, hide, hide the HUD, set the elevation of the baldy boss, set to 9. The variable of baldy boss start will be set to true. The projectiles will also be set to 26. And now let's make an an items group where it has all items, which could you could just definitely delete the items too, and if the boss fight happens. Now you could just definitely do like the item UI for the projectile UI. You could just do like the item UI, but projectile editing now. Is when you get the projectile. The second animation is when you don't get the when you don't have any projectile yet. Now for the player, let's make a variable of the player where it depends if it has the projectile or not. And let's add the fire bullets variable to a player for if they use the B soda or the projectiles. Now now we could do another layer where it's a projectile layer for the projectile layer UI layer. If you want to do add an ellipse animation, you could just definitely do this. Ignore the x-axis, just do the movement of the y-axis. You could do any value of the y-axis movement. The loop direction could be like, or for example this. For example, I'll do 1 and the loop duration. What about the projectile UI? If you want to make an opacity that definitely makes it almost invisible, just like the projectiles in Roll-D, then you could say it like this, or 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 like this. And the animated of the projectile UI will just be set to nothing, to no projectile. Wait like several 13 seconds, or any shorter second or longer second than that number. And we'll set it by 26. On the variable of the player, if projectile, we set to 1. That's if the player collects with the projectile when the C elevation of the projectile equals to 26 and the variable of the player and the player's variable of projectile equals to and the variable equals to 0 equals to 0. And if the projectile equals to 1 and the animation equals the projectile trigger once and If left mouse button or right mouse button is pressed or touch held, with the key pressed equals space, we could definitely do this. Fire bullets to one angle. The player will be the object who fires, and the projectile throw will be the bullet object. Player X, player, no, just player Y, player. Angle 1, 2, or either it could be 900 or 300 or 500 or that could be the speed of the projectile after being thrown. Tum, 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 tum. No, 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 no. What the hell am I saying? Now, let's copy the player's action if they do it without pressing the space key. And let's do if the if if the if the Baldi boss fight collides with the projectile throw when the variable Baldi boss start equals to true and the seek elevation Baldi boss equal to 9 equal to 9. The lead projectile Baldi boss will be set to false. Hey, to make the Baldi boss or null boss move, but remember, you can also do that in a story mode or in a duplicate null scene. Or in duplicate null scene, different than the story mode. You could either do that boss fight in these two options though. Baldi boss will be moved. The speed on the pad of the Baldi boss will be set to Baldi boss speed, and also the max speed two variable speed of Baldi boss will be set to Baldi boss null speed. About the Baldi boss, let's also add some health, which will be 10. We use 10, 10, 10. But if the boss variable is true, then you could do the speed of Baldi boss set to 0 in the hit. And about the no speed of will it will add you can also add 100. for any value. For any value that's less than 100. Here you could do speed of player adding 100, or also do the walk speed too. Now we could do the same for the Baldi boss jumpscare during the boss fight. Now let's test their boss fight. We forgot to hide the HUD too. And now let's test our boss fight. Our own boss fight. Oh, what the hell? It crashed! I didn't know why it crashed. I should have trigger once too. And also, delete projectile throw or hide it, or set the animation to to no projectile, and set the variable projectile player set to 1 if the null boss jump scares you too. Now, this is our take 2 on testing out the null boss fight. Take 2. Testing out a null boss fight. Crashing. Why the I know it crashed, but still, when I tested, it worked. Now, let's make if the Baldi boss is dead, we could also win. Finding a win screen. On risk 57, I might add the pause menu in part 3. Sorry for lying about adding, sorry about lying and adding it in part 2 when I didn't. And here, I didn't forget to add delete items too. Now our FANGAME is looking good. Also, do not forget to add to the null boss to be separated from the walls as the two. Do not forget that. Do not forget that as well. For about the collision events. Let's let's try going through. Yes, it works. Okay, but do not forget do not forget to also separate the boss fight thing from the walls as well. It's also do not forget to apply damage. To apply damage with 1 health point. You could also add any sounds to projectiles. Let me show you examples of other projectile stuff. Either way, to make other projectiles, you could copy the same projectile image, but just make other different sprites for the other projectiles and duplicate it. Also do the same for the projectile throw and use same other sprites. And here's how you can for more animations for if you get other projectiles and not just one. And not just one. And if more projectiles are added to one, then about the projectile thrones, when the collision, just add projectile thrones with a group of all the projectile thrones. The projectile thrones. For if the null boss collects with a projectile throne, You do not have to repeat the same process again with just the other projectile throws and just use the group you made. Let me show you an example of how also you can add any
Hello there, and welcome again to my house. It brings you
projectiles
here,
and you
plus
can
your
use multiple
forgotten
shapes.
toys. Ready or not, here I come.
Let's test how we yeah, you can see it's on young bosses. Also, it can apply when looking behind.
Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs.
See you guys.